The problem of dropout rates here in Pueblo, Colorado, and Colorado as a whole has been a problem ever since the 2008 2009 school years. That's when it hit its peak, especially around the 2013 year. That's when it hit, I think, 14,000 dropouts. That's an astounding number. And when I learned about this, doing some research after I learned that one of my very dear friends um, was actually homeless and struggling to, put food for himself and his brother on the table because the parents were both unemployed at the time. Um, it really got me thinking, how can I help? I know the problem exists. I want to do something about it. How can I help them? And so I came up with the Summer Access Program. Um, so my hope right now is to uh, convince a few people to support it or at least understand what it is and what it can do and how it can benefit the people here in Pueblo and possibly around the state. So let's get started. So I want everyone here to picture and imagine one of your kids, if you have them, or if you don't, imagine having a child or one of your siblings, right? Imagine a sibling coming home from school and their first worry is not, oh, let's change, let's have a snack and we'll start doing our homework or we'll watch TV or whatnot. No, no, their first question is not whether or not they're going to finish their homework tonight or whether or not they're going to have time to study for their exam that they have tomorrow and they're going to pass it. No, no. What they think of first and what they're worried about the most is whether or not they're going to have enough food to eat, whether or not they will have dinner that night. So, imagining that, right? That kind of student, that kind of person is under the definition of at risk. And because of this, so what does it mean to be at risk though? At risk as a student is to have a higher probability of failing academically or dropping out of school. A dropout, as defined by the Colorado Children's Campaign, is a person who leaves school for any reason except death and does not enroll in another high school or a GED program, an online program, or home study program, and doesn't finish it without getting a diploma or GED. So they just don't finish high school. Um, in the year 2018, there were 10,421 dropouts for various reasons all across the state of Colorado. Um, there are current programs in place. One that I would like to give a shout out to is the McKinney-Vento Homeless Youth Education program. They provide sort of scholarships and extra money to the budgets of certain schools within districts. So one of the high schools that utilizes that money here in Pueblo is Centennial High School. I know that for a fact, and Central High School. I looked at their budgets, and they utilize the McKinney-Vento Homeless Youth Education Program money to give school supplies to students that are less fortunate and can't afford a backpack, notebooks, pencils, pens, whatever it may be. They provide that through the McKinney-Vento Homeless Youth Education Fund. So there are several causes for for dropping out of high school, such as lack of supervision or involvement from your parents, from the parents, broken homes. A lot of kids do come from broken homes, especially the ones that I worked with. They were either homeless or the parents were getting divorced and they had to move around constantly, or various reasons for having a broken home. They have to deal with drug and alcohol abuse. Maybe they come home not to a very stable family. They have to deal with a drunk family member or a family member that's high. It's not a pretty picture to imagine. Some of them also have to battle their own mental illness. They have to think about, am I going to be depressed? Who am I going? Is my sibling going to be depressed? Who am I going to be okay to deal with whatever comes my way in school? And those are just the three main ones. There's lack of supervision, drug and alcohol abuse, mental illness, but there's other homelessness, incarceration, teenage pregnancy, underlying health issues, domestic violence, learning disabilities, grade retention, disciplinary issues. There are a ton of factors for why a child would drop out of high school. Unfortunately, some of the effects of dropping out of high school are awful. They can be incarcerated, they can be homeless, they can live in extreme poverty. Um, and one thing that I want to um, definitely touch on is generativity versus stagnation. This is a psychological theory where one of the stages in life that people get to is they want to feel as though they have contributed to society in some sort of way. But how are they ever going to contribute enough that they feel satisfied with what they've contributed if they don't have a high school diploma? The likelihood that they are satisfied with their lives and how and what they've done is lower. The chances of that are lower and keep decreasing with the less amount of education that they have and received. So these all go hand in hand. The summer access program, what it would do it would reach these kids that have truancy issues, that they qualify for free and reduced lunches, that are failing classes, that have behavioral issues. And one thing that's very special here to Central High School, and I believe Centennial as well, is they use something called a fast pass. And a fast pass allows these kids that have them to go to either one of two places. They can either go to the counselor's office or they can go to an approved educator's room and stay there if they're having a panic attack, if they're having a manic episode, if they're having an anxiety attack, whatever it may be. If it's a mental illness, they can request that they leave the room, but they can't wander the halls. They have to go immediately to that room and calm down there. When I interviewed Cody Griebel, an educator there at Central High School, he told me that his room is one of the ones that a lot of kids use to go to. The summer access program would be available, as I said, during the summer and winter months because some of these kids need a safe place to go to during those months. The place with air conditioning, a place with food, a place that's safe and inviting. And so it would provide tutors in case they ever fell behind in their classes. It would have drug education, sex education, dropout education. If ever they feel like they're going to drop out and they decide to, maybe someone there, a teacher or a counselor or a mentor or a coach that will be present at the program can persuade them otherwise. Um, you know, I would prefer it that the teachers and coaches that are in that school participate in the program, especially those that are passionate about helping other kids, because these are the people that that these kids are going to see throughout the day, throughout most of the day. And so I would it would make sense that the teachers and coaches at the school make a difference within their own high school community. Um, the summer access program would not require that much money. It can get money from the McKinney-Vento Homeless Youth Education Program. Um, and one thing that I want to stress is that kids should never give up. They should never give up. If they ever feel like they need to or that there's no way out, the summer access program can be there. They can be there with the mentors. They can have peer sessions so that they understand and know that there are people out there that have problems like them and they're not alone. They have others that care about them, that understand what they're going through and care about them. And that's the one thing that I want to stress the most. The summer access program would help a countless amount of students within a few years. Um, I know right now it could possibly help around 50, possibly even more because I only know of about 50. But these kids, they're 16, 17-year olds. They don't know how to handle chronic stress, especially at a level as severe as they have it. They have to think about whether or not they're going to eat that night, whether they have to think about whether they're going to sleep that night, where they're going to sleep, when they're going to sleep, if they're going to sleep. They have to worry about so much more than the average kid. And I really want to stress that the summer access program can make things easier for them if it is implemented. Thank you very much and have a great day.